Donald Trump was censored off of Twitter, and I just found that to be not correct. I'm like a loudmouth person. I was an activist. I say what I want. The idea of censorship, it just doesn't vibe with my personality, left or right. It just isn't for me. I thought people would understand that, especially because when I was far left, I saw right-wing people as like my debate partners. I saw them as people who provided me with intellectual stimulation. So I thought people would understand why I would not want censorship, but the left-wing people that I knew, they were incensed. They were furious with me. And I dealt with all kinds of racial insults, Uncle Tom, race traitor, different kinds of sexual harassment, people telling me that I love white men because, of course, why would a woman do anything that's not motivated by sexual competition for man? And I just didn't expect that response because all I said was that I'm against censorship. I didn't say, I love what Trump said. I just don't want anyone to be censored. But that was how I really got canceled from the left. Hi, my name is Alex Boyd. I am from Minneapolis, Minnesota, currently located in Portland, Oregon. So lots of liberal energy around me for my whole life. And I'm going to explain to you guys why I'm walking away from the left. So it's kind of a long story. I'm going to try to get through all my points. But basically, I grew up kind of woke before wokeness. In my opinion, every cult has like a seed of truth that it starts with and then devolves into madness. So to me, wokeness was originally about, it was called being pro-Black, and it was about telling the truth about African-American history. So both of my parents are light-skinned Black people like me. So I would go to school. They would tell me one thing. I would come home. My parents would tell me something very different. I learned that the founding fathers owned slaves. I learned that Thomas Jefferson had several biracial children by one of his slaves. And I'm 27. So when I was in middle school, when I was 13, 14, that is when I started to really question what I was taught in school about the founding of our country. And I'm someone who I like to talk to people from all walks of life. So even though I was far left my whole childhood, my whole upbringing, what have you, no one ever questioned me for talking to people from different belief systems until like 2016. And that was when things got weird to me. Nobody ever thought that was, it did not, no one thought it was contradictory being far left and talking to Republicans. And I was on the debate team. So I loved talking to Republicans. It was really fun for me. Nobody ever thought that was weird until I got to college. So I went to Reed College in Portland, Oregon. And Reed is considered the most liberal college in the country. I became a BLM organizer, and I was a co-founder of an organization called Reedies Against Racism. So Reedies Against Racism, that was when I first noticed cult-like features of the left. I noticed, I guess Portland is kind of worse, so I don't think every Black Lives Matter chapter had this, but I noticed worship of a singular leader. I noticed financial manipulativeness. I noticed just kind of a lack of goal-orientedness, almost like people didn't want problems for Black people to be solved because then, what would happen to us activists? And then I noticed a general sadness, particularly because a lot of the white women that I had recruited into wokeness seemed really sad, and justifiably so, because a lot of wokeness is weirdly, I feel, anti-white women, anti-women in general. So I've got my notes here. So my particular chapter of BLM, which was called Reedies Against Racism, RAR, was what we abbreviated it to. I know I already told you guys that, but it went like full cult. The leader told people that you have to give up your privilege by dropping out of college. 2 people actually did. I felt responsible and complicit in this, so I had to come out and be like, don't do that, please. And I had to tell the truth. I had to apologize for lying, and I basically felt like, I knew that I was in a cult, but I felt like, if I can fix it, then it will be okay. I won't have to own up to being in a cult because I will have fixed it from the inside. And I think that's probably how a lot of left-wing people feel today. So I was okay with confronting Black Lives Matter. I grew up being kind of different from other Black people anyway. I grew up at a time, when most Black people chemically straightened their hair permanently, and I did not. I had natural hair. So what I always say is the same Black people who would have told me to chemically straighten my hair when I was a kid are now telling me that I have to be in BLM. And I always say, shut up, perm police. I don't care. So I was comfortable, telling Black people no. That was something I was used to already. So, then, okay. So I left Black Lives Matter. I knew there were cult elements, but I knew there was something else wrong with the left. I couldn't figure out what it was. The Jussie Smollett thing happened, if you guys remember that. And, I spoke out against that, and that did not make me popular. The thing that really made left-wing people extremely angry with me was in 2020, I started my blog. I'll link my blog down below if you guys are interested. In 2020, I started my blog, and I started it because because Donald Trump was censored off of Twitter. So it was 2021. Donald Trump was censored off of Twitter, and I just found that to be not correct. I'm like a loudmouth person. I was an activist. I say what I want. The idea of censorship, it just doesn't vibe with my personality, left or right. It just isn't for me. I thought people would understand that, especially because when I was far left, I saw right-wing people as like my debate partners. I saw them as people who provided me with intellectual stimulation. So I thought people would understand why I would not want censorship, but the left-wing people that I knew, they were incensed. They were furious with me. And I dealt with all kinds of racial insults, Uncle Tom, race traitor, different kinds of sexual harassment, people telling me that I love white men because, of course, why would a woman do anything that's not motivated by sexual competition for a man? And I just didn't expect that response because all I said was that I'm against censorship. I didn't say, I love what Trump said. I just don't want anyone to be censored. But that was how I really got canceled from the left. I learned since then that the ACLU and Al Sharpton actually at one point advocated for the rights of white supremacists to march through a Jewish neighborhood because that's how anti-censorship the left used to be. And Al Sharpton said, we have to fight for the rights, the free speech rights of these white supremacists. Otherwise, they'll censor Black civil rights activists next. So I think it's really sad that the left has moved away from those pro-freedom values because that is why people like the left or used to like it. But, that's their choice. So that is what really, I faced a lot of pushback for being anti-censorship. And what really made me want to leave is that a few days after I made my blog post, Bernie Sanders came out and said something very similar. He said he was against Trump's Twitter ban, and no one that I knew said anything. It wasn't even really news. And it made me realize that the reason that left-wing people were upset with me for stepping out of line, it wasn't because I had a political belief that was unorthodox for a left-wing person. It's because Black women are not allowed to do that on the left. No one cared that a white man did it, but, it's why they say, you ain't Black if you don't vote for Joe Biden. There is a belief among left-wing people that a Black person's job is not to think for themselves. My job as a lefty to them was to fall in line. So, being told to essentially dumb myself down because I'm a Black woman, I was really done with the left after that. I did not want to dampen my intellect. I did not want to have to set aside my critical thinking skills just to make white liberals feel comfortable. And ever since then, I have been very critical of the left. So, I call myself independent now. I'm kind of off groups in general because I was in a cult. So, I'm not into group thinking. And I think politics, I think it's a matter of personality. For some people, like, I have a liberal side to my personality, a conservative side that works for me. And so I think that being independent is a good place for me. I love Candace Owens' podcast. I think she's hilarious. I think she's brilliant. And she is much, much more conservative than I am. And I love that for her. She's not me. I don't need everyone to be me. I don't understand that impulse to try to force, like, I'm an individual. So almost no one that I watch online is exactly, there are some people online whose politics are very similar to mine. I would say I probably watch those people the least because it bores me. But yeah, I love the Candace Owens podcast. That is her thing. Being super conservative is her thing, not my thing. Love that for her. That's her personality. And I think like that we should all learn to have more respect for diversity, real diversity of nature, diversity of personality, diversity of thought. And I would encourage anyone who's left wing. There's a podcast with Sitch and Adam, where they interview Anna Kasparian, who is another, kind of on a similar trajectory of mine of leaving the left or of questioning the left. And they say that the left's role is to play offense for society and the right's role is to play defense for society. And I think that is a really amazing way to look at it. The right, I really like that right-wing people protect the aspects of society that are good, that don't need to be changed and that should be kept in place. And the left-wing people kind of, even though they can be a little wacky, a little delulu, as the kids say, left-wing people, they test new ideas. Sometimes it's a bit of a crash test, but they test new ideas that might benefit society. And I think that is amazing. So that is why I'm walking away. Nobody tells me what to do. That is why I became an activist in the first place. And I would encourage everyone, but especially other young Black women, free yourself from this idea that thinking is bigoted. It's not bigoted to think. It's not bigoted to be smart. And, I'm so much happier now that I can think whatever I want. And that to me is the beauty of being independent. Although again, like that spirit, the first time I ever saw that spirit really growing up was among conservatives. So thank you to Brandon Straka and to Nick Miles for getting me involved in this, for reaching out to me. And that's why I'm walking away. So bye guys.
For more great videos, download the WalkAway Social app at walkawaysocial.com. Share your testimonial and join our community.